Hey, what's going on everyone, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'll be taking you through a studio shoot I did here in my home of Seoul, Korea, all shot using natural light and a 28mm lens. Thank you to Warm Sunshine Studios and model and friend Julia for helping bring everything to life. And without any further ado, let's get into it. So to start, the concept of this shoot was Lazy Sunday. The goal was to try to bring about a feeling of calmness or peace, something inviting that could give the viewer a bit of an exhale when they looked at the photos. I find these days I often try to represent some kind of tranquility in my images. I'm not exactly sure why, other than that I just like creating and viewing these types of pictures, so that's what we were going for. To assist in doing that, I first chose to photograph everything with a 28mm lens. I think a 28 sitting at the edge of being a wide to standard focal length has a way of opening up the frame and allowing things to breathe, but not at the cost of distorting the image too much and drawing attention to itself. Furthermore, the studio we were using was on the quainter, smaller side, so shooting on any lens tighter than a 28 I felt might have suffocated the images a bit and moved us away from that calm vibe we were going for. So yeah, again, 28 felt perfect. In addition to that, everything was photographed using only natural light. Now, as you may have seen, the studio did have some constant lights, but I chose not to use them and just stick to the natural light. The reason being, I felt natural light complemented the mood we were going for better because the light was coming in nice and soft on this day, being diffused by the windows from the side and front. Actually, I was quite surprised how well the sunlight was lighting the room, considering the setup we were photographing was a few feet away from the windows. It was also overcast and the sun wasn't directly facing the windows, but in the end it all kind of worked and I was pleasantly surprised. So with the light being settled and knowing I didn't have to play around with that anymore, I could move on to composing the images. Now, I really liked the furniture and the way the studio had arranged everything. It had a nice aesthetic. There was a good balance, and I thought the orange popped off the white walls to provide some nice texture and vibrance. And with shooting on the 28, it allowed me to fill the frame and capture everything in its entirety and just kind of add another layer to the storytelling, I suppose. As a note and a possible tip though, I do want to add that I did pull the couches away from the walls a bit. When we first arrived, they were just kind of flat laid up against it, but by pulling them away, I felt this helped provide just a little bit more depth to the frame and make things not so flat. Now, as for posing, everybody has their own approach, but for me, this is mine. So as I always do on any portrait shoot, I started out by giving a very general starting pose and said, let's begin here, but then shared with Julia that she didn't need to hold that position, and I encouraged her to move around in any way that she felt comfortable, and as she did that I would let her know what was working and not working from my side of the lens. I think that open and honest communication in this way is really important on any shoot. And from there, we just worked through a few different setups. I moved the furniture around a bit. I rotated around, trying various angles. Julia was also trying different poses, sometimes laying, sometimes sitting. We did some standing ones as well. I also brought some props from home, some old film cams that I have that we also tried out in some of the shots. And then, like I said, we just kept those lines of communication open. We tried a bunch of different looks, stayed positive, had some fun, and just kind of rinsed and repeated until it was time to close down. And just by following that process of trying different things, staying tethered to what the concept of the shoot was, and just keeping that open line of communication, we were able just to get all the photos that you saw, and I was happy. I was satisfied with it. Okay, that's going to do it for this one. I want to thank everyone for watching. I hope you found the information to be helpful. If you did, consider subscribing to the channel, and I will catch you in the next one.